Hello, good afternoon, everyone who all are joining in and who may join later in the event today. I hope that you all are doing good, happy, sound, and healthy at wherever you are. So, have you heard of CID and have you heard of Dr. Saluke? You have seen him doing all the nitty-gritties and telling ACP Pradyumna all the crime details and all the details of DNA and other things that he used to tell ACP. So what we had to assume is how he actually does it, how he actually did it in the show. So today we're going to learn the same. So basically when crime happens, we generally relate it to the law, like what all punishment he's going to get. But we are now going to relate crime with the science today. That's the forensic science. So for that, I heartily and sincerely welcome you in today's webinar, that is collection and preservation of evidences at the crime scene. And today we actually will be learning what actually Saluke did and how he used to do all those things with our expert here, who is currently present here. And for this, I would like to request Gurmeen ma'am to kindly introduce us to him.
A very good afternoon to all of you. In the ongoing series of webinars, today we are having a really interesting topic, collection and preservation of evidences at the crime scene. And the resource person is Dr. Saurabh Shukla, who is presently working as an assistant professor, Department of Forensic Sciences, School of Bioengineering and Biosciences. He did postdoctoral studies from Henan Normal University, China. He has obtained PhD from Gujarat Forensic Sciences University and is having more than 9 years of professional experience. He has cleared UGC NET JRF in the subject Forensic Sciences in 2011. He has published 16 research papers, review papers, and book chapters in peer-reviewed international and national journals and having an international publisher. Dr. Shukla has presented his research findings in national and international conferences. At LPU, Dr. Shukla is taking theory and practical classes of MSc and BSc Forensic Science students in the subjects Forensic Medicine, Forensic Ballistics, Fingerprint, General Forensic Science, and Crime Scene Investigations. He is actively involved in the placement of Masters and Bachelor Forensic Science students. Presently, he is supervising 6 research scholars for the award of PhD in Forensic Sciences. Prior to PhD, Dr. Shukla also worked as a senior scientific assistant, junior crime expert biology at Forensic Science Laboratory, Port Blair, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So I heartily welcome Dr. Saurabh Shukla, and now I would request him to start with his presentation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, madam, for the introduction. So today's topic is collection and preservation of evidences at the crime scene. So basically, we can define the crime scene as any particular area where the crime might have taken place. So whenever we heard this type of word, crime, shooting, murder, so what comes to our mind, that who will be collecting these evidences, how the culprit or how victim will get the justice. Okay, so these are some of the questions which generally revolve around our mind, especially with the person who were actually not knowing the forensic science, how we can able to put them behind the bar, those who have actually committed the crime. So basically, if we have to define crime scene, so crime scene can be defined as a particular location where the crime might have occurred or thought to be occurred. Okay. So basically, in forensic sciences, our main work is to link the crime scene with the accused. Accused means the person who has committed the crime, or with the victim. Okay, so with the help of different evidences, we will be linking the crime scene, the victim, and the assaultant, or we can say accused person. So these are some of the different types of evidences generally we used to get. Generally, these evidences also vary according to the type of crime scene. For example, if it is a murder with the help of knife, then there are chances that we may have a weapon of offense, mainly knife, or blood stain evidences, mainly from the clothes, generally recovered from the clothes or from the vessel. Okay, if it is an accident case, so generally we will have tire marks, presence of soil, presence of glass pieces. Okay, similarly, if it is a firing case, so there are obvious chances that the use of firearms. So we may have a bullet that might be stained with blood and other body fluids. So these evidences varies according to the type of crime. So here, some of the evidences are like blood stain, fingerprints, amino stain, hair, fibers, thread, glass, paint, firearms, tool marks, question documents, n number of evidence. Okay, and generally in crime scene, in any particular crime scene, like heinous crime scene, like murder and all, we generally used to get 7 to 8 different types of evidences from different exhibits. Like it can be from a wall, it can be from a floor, it can be from garment. Okay, so these are the different types of evidence. Here we can able to see. Okay, cloth fibers, entomology, small glass pieces, poison, dead bodies. Now, the most important thing is the collection of this evidence. So, as such, there is no hard and fast tool to collect these evidences. First, we need to give preferences to the evidences that are fragile. Fragile in the sense, for example, biological evidences. The evidences which are prone to be degrade or which may deteriorate in the due course of time. So, first preference should be given to those evidences which may degrade. And then later on, we can move on to other evidence. So, always giving priority to this biological evidence. Similarly, there are different types of biological evidences like blood, semen, saliva, milk, fecal matter, urine. Okay, and during this COVID time, okay, so during this COVID time, we all know that these body fluids are highly contagious. Okay, they are highly contagious. So the people who will be handling or who will be collecting these evidences, they need to take extra precaution so that they should not come in contact with those biological fluids. Okay. And second thing, whenever we are collecting those biological evidences, we should collect in the manner so that these evidences could able to reach the forensic science laboratory in an apt manner, so that it should not degrade. It should not degrade, it should not deteriorate. Okay, if it gets degraded in the passage of time, so what happens? We cannot come to the conclusion that what would be the blood group, what would be the origin, whether that blood group, whether that blood belongs to the victim, accused. Okay. Second, we cannot able to carry out DNA analysis. So that's why we need to keep all these evidences in a correct manner. Clear? So whenever we move to the crime scene, we'll thoroughly document it. Documentation means we need to note it down, that what actually happened at the crime scene, what's the sequence. Okay. So after carefully documenting, taking their photograph, following all the sequences, so one person should be there to collect those evidences. Okay, so, and we should not leave any evidences at the crime. So we'll start it from the biological evidence. Okay, there is no rigid order for the collection of evidences, but some type of evidences by their nature should be given some priority. I already told, fragile and transient and easily lost evidences should be collected first. For example, any shoe print, okay, any shoe print present on the entrance. So that needs to be collected first. That needs to be preserved first, and all the efforts should be done to collect those shoe prints, because that shoe print might be from the assaultant, the particular person who might have entered the crime scene. Clear? So we should, and the most important thing is that we could easily able to identify that the evidences which might be of biological origin, which might be of chemical origin, or which might be of physical origin. Biological means I already told body fluids and all. Chemical means the presence of any chemicals like acid in acid throw case, presence of pesticides, presence of drugs. Okay, so these we can collect separately. When it comes to physical evidences like glass, soil, paper, so these evidences there, if we will collect it after half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, then also it won't deteriorate. But biological evidences with the passage of time, they start degrading. So first we have to collect this biological evidence. Similarly, there are different types of methods to collect this evidence. Swabbing, tape lifting, I will be demonstrating all these, hand picking, and vacuum. Okay, so generally, for the purpose of biological evidences, we use swabbing method. Swabbing method means when this blood is present in the form of a liquid or pool, then with the help of a sterile cotton or gauze piece, we will be taking it swab and we will be preserved. Tape lifting with the help of our tape, normal sellotape, we will be lifting those evidences, generally trace evidence. For example, hair, soil. Hand picking with the help of our hand by utilizing forceps, we will be collecting those evidences. Vacuuming, generally with the help of a vacuum and all, we will be collecting those evidences, vacuum cleaner and all. So generally in forensic science, we apply first three methods: swabbing, tape lifting, and hand. Now it comes to the blood stain. Blood stain means whenever the blood is present in the liquid or pool form, then with the help of this gauze or sterile cotton, we'll collect it. After collecting it, we need to make sure that we have dried those stains, or we should thoroughly dry the cotton so that if it is completely dried, then we can easily pack it. Otherwise, we have to allow them to dry at a room temperature. Avoid placing them in a bright or sunlight area. Okay. When it is completely dried, then we have to put them in the paper envelope. We should never pack these biological evidences in the plastic container. Clear? Because it will degrade. Clearly? These are generally which we used to get blood stain. This one is in the form of a liquid blood stain pool, and here you can also able to see. Here you can able to see these two images. The blood stain is generally present in the form of dried. Sometimes when we reach the spot on time, so at that point of time, we can able to see the blood would be present in the form of a liquid, thick liquid. But what happens, sometimes we may be informed after 2 days, 3 days, maybe a 1 week, 1 month. So there are obvious chances that the blood might have been dry. Okay, so when the blood is dried, so in that condition, we need to use separate techniques to collect those blood. Okay, when it is dried, then we have to suppose when it is present on the cloth, then we have to take that entire cloth. When it is present on any particular object, then we have to take that particular object. If it is movable, if it is easily movable, then we have to take that particular object. We have to label it. We have to put them in the envelope, and then we have to send it to the laboratory. For example, when this dried blood stain, they will present on the large object. Maybe, for example, bed, almirah, wall, floor. So at that time, what happens, with the help of knife, we will simply peel off. Okay, we will simply peel off this, and then we'll collect it. We'll collect those dried blood samples. Clear? So this is basically for dried blood. Now comes the glass. Glass is again one of the most important evidence. Generally, this glass were recovered in case of burglary, house breaking. Okay. Similarly, it is also generally found in case of hit and run. Okay, where two vehicle might have collided, or a particular person might have collided with the vehicle. So at that point of time, these glass pieces serves as an important evidence in linking the vehicle to the particular victim, or easily we can able to compare whether two particular vehicles collided or clearly. Similarly, glass bottles and all, we can easily able to link. Similarly, sometimes you might have seen in our house, we have some peculiar glass. For example, cutlery, glass pieces, window glasses. There are different types of glasses. Their origin, their chemical constituent is different. For example, the type of glass which we are using in our window pane, it is different from that of the windshield of the vehicle. So easily we can able to distinguish the origin of this glass. Similarly, this glass piece can also be recovered from the clothing of the suspect, their shoes. Sometimes unknowingly, they may walk through over that area. So at that point of time, what happens? These glass pieces, they will be clearly found from their clothing, from their shoes, and this would be easily helpful to link that particular person from the crime. Now comes paint. Paint generally, again, this paint also encountered frequently in hit and run cases where two vehicles it will collide it. So there are chances that it will transfer some of their paint from one vehicle to another. Similarly, in burglary cases, sometimes we use different weapons, maybe crossbar, iron bar, glass, iron, hammer. Okay, so in that particular time, what happens? This paint it will be transferred to those weapons. Okay, so in that particular condition, we can easily able to find out that which particular weapon, which particular instrument used to open or helps to gain forceful entry inside the building. Clear? Similarly, whenever we are getting this paint, we have to again carefully pack them and send it to the laboratory. Okay, here in this image you can able to see. Sometimes when two vehicles collided, again there is much important in this because every vehicle manufacturer, they have their own composition of this paint. So from this paint itself, we can able to identify that which particular vehicle collided or which particular vehicle involved in the accident. In many cases, what happens? Hit and run cases. What is actually hit and run cases? The particular vehicle will hit and they will run. So in that condition, sometimes the paint may be present on the body of the victim, may be present on the their clothes. So from this, we can easily able to identify. They have there are fingerprints, fragile evidences. Fragile evidences. Say, for example, if it is onto some area where easily accessible or any particular person might touch, for example, the entrance door knob. Okay, so in that condition, it would be fragile. For example, if it is present on a particular, say for example, glass, so easily we can able to collect those glass, we can keep it somewhere, and then later on we can develop. Okay, I hope I have answered. So this I cannot able to see the name. Sir, what is pedestrian victim? Pedestrian victim maybe in case of accident. Accident, I think you mean to say. There is no difference. There is no distinction between pedestrian victim or any particular person. If a particular person is a victim, then he or she would be known as victim itself. Sometimes they might be target. Target means the particular person, the assaultant might have intentionally killed them or tried to hurt them, or sometimes they might have hurt them unintentionally. Clear? I hope I have answered this question. Okay, preservation of samples. Again, this is the most important thing. Generally, these biological evidences, they require special type of preservation techniques. As compared to physical evidences, they generally do not require any type of special treatment, but these biological evidences, they need special treatment to pack them. For example, suppose the blood stain or any other body fluids, they are in the dried form. So in that condition, we do not require any specialized method or we do not require any special container to pack them. But what happens when this blood, it is in the form of a liquid? For example, when the blood is taken from a particular live individual, the particular person might be live. So in that condition, we have to take them in a container. Okay, we have to take them in a container where the container contains anticoagulant agent, where we'll be putting that blood inside that container and slightly shaking and put them into the ice box. Okay, and always the liquid blood should be in the refrigerated form. It should not be kept in a room temperature. Otherwise, what happens? It will degrade. It will start degrading. Then we cannot able to come to the conclusion. If we apply any blood grouping, then it won't yield any result. And add these glass, so what happens? It will come out from the edges
Sir,
of envelope. And what happens?
sir,
That
sir, I'm very sorry to interrupt, sir. Participants, can you all tell me, is it from sir's end? Like, are you able to hear sir's voice properly? Okay, okay. Yeah, lag, right. So I think participants, there is some internet connection problem that has happened from sir's end, and he would be joining soon until he joins in. Okay, he has joined in again. Right. So you can see, and okay, yes, sir. Are you able to hear me, sir? Am I audible? Okay, I think some internet connection problem that has happened. Meanwhile, participants, you can write your question and answers in the chat box or Q&A box, basically. Like, what all thoughts that you have regarding? I think sir has. So your video is not available, right? You're available now, sir, but I think internet, you're stuck, sir. Participants, can you all please confirm me? Are you able to see sir's screen or not? Please confirm me in the chat box. Can you see this? Right? No, Hana, you right. So, Gurmeen ma'am, are you available there? Okay, I believe there is some NAT issues there. Meanwhile, participants, I just was talking to you regarding the crime scene. Like I said in the initial introduction of the webinar as well, that did you ever wonder what is it to collect the evidences? Like, what all nitty-gritties one must look for or one must go with while collecting the evidences? You all can tell me your answers in the chat box. Like, what do you think a person should have in order to collect the evidences? What are those qualities you want in somebody who is collecting the evidences? You all just can tell me. I am waiting for the answers. Good observation skills. Correct, Hannah. Good observation skills are really important. And I believe an eye for the detail. It's like, I think it's quite similar to what you're saying, observation skills. And anything more specific? Anything more specific to that? Have you seen, okay, please confirm, have you seen the CID show? Anyone who has seen the CID? Because we all have seen, I mean, I have seen that show. And from there only, I got so much of interest in the crime and, evidences, right? Pratna, you have seen. So, well, I actually heard of this topic. And when I actually was introducing, all I was imagining in my mind was Dr. Sanluke. So do you all know who Dr. Sanluke is? Anyone? And what did he do, as in who he was in the show? Gurmeen ma'am, are you available here?
Yes, ma'am, I'm available.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, sir, you've joined, right?
yes,
Okay, sir has joined. Okay, so you're audible now. Correct, Pratna. He was a forensic scientist. And what did he do actually? Like all the CID officers basically were so much dependent on him. Sir, we're ready for the presentation, sir. Okay, tell me who was your favorite CID inspector there in the show? Anyone? Okay, we'll talk about this later. Now we're gonna learn things here. Okay, sir. Over to you, sir.
Audible, I think, ma'am? Okay. So we were at the preservation of the sample. Okay. So these glass evidences, they need to be collected first with the help of this tissue paper. We have to wrap them in the tissue paper and then we have to pack them. Similarly, this paint and all, we have to collect them separately first in the tissue paper, because this paint and all here, they are very small evidences. Generally, we call them as trace evidence. So what happens? They will easily be lost. Okay, so first we have to wrap them in a separate paper and then we can put them into the envelope. Here I have used some of the images to inform you all. What happens when we pack these biological evidences in the liquid form itself, when they are entirely not dried? So what happens? It will leak. Okay, it will lead to sample loss, deterioration, as well as contamination. Because generally, what happens in our Indian setup of forensic science, as well as worldwide. So what happens? The police officer, they'll be calling the forensic expert. The forensic expert will go to the crime scene, they'll collect, and they will hand over these evidences to the police. And then what happens? The police, they will put FIR, they will put this into the courtroom. There, the lawyers, they will argue, and then after that, the samples which we have collected, it will be forwarded to the FSL for the examination, for the analysis, and then after that, it will be examined. So generally, it takes 6 to 7 months when it is in the fast track course or when it is up to the mark. But what happens? It will even get delayed if, because of excessive number of cases. We all know that more than 2 crore cases were pending in our High Court and Supreme Court and other courts in India. So you can see the amount of burden onto the judiciary, onto the police personnel, and ultimately onto the forensic scientists also. So what happens? We have to preserve these evidences in such a form that they can easily able to withstand for at least 1 to 2 years, at least. Okay, so we should not collect those evidences, or we should not pack those evidences in the liquid form, especially biological evidence. Leave. Okay. Okay, so these are some of the examples of improper packaging of the evidences. You can able to, can anyone tell me that what the issue with this packaging? Anyone? If you wish, you can unmute or you can use chat. What is the issue with this packaging? Loose. Very good. Other? Okay. It is, although it is loose, but what happens? The main thing is that the material or the evidences which it is carrying is bulky as compared to the envelope. The envelope which is actually housing those evidences is bulky. Okay, so the size of the envelope doesn't matches with that of the evidences. So we have to pack them in the appropriate size envelope. Clear? For example, bed sheet. Okay, when the blood-stained bed sheet is there, so at that time we have to take that bigger size of envelope to pack those bed sheets. Okay, here you can easily able to see this glass pieces, small glass pieces. So if we simply pack these glass pieces in the envelope itself, so what happens? It will immediately comes out. It will cause a tear into the envelope and it will comes out. Okay, and during transportation, these glass fragments will comes out from the envelope. Can anyone tell me what's the issue with this packaging? Sir, for a wet blood-stained bedsheet, won't the paper absorb the blood? Anna Sharma, for this particular person itself, for this particular reason itself, we need to air dry the bed sheet. Okay, whenever we are collecting any wet blood stain, we should make thorough that it is completely air dry. Okay, we should not pack it in wet form. Okay, when it is completely air dried, when the blood stain it is dried, it will be there in the paper. Although there are chances that some part of the blood may be transferred to the envelope. Okay, but the envelope can again be used for the purpose of examination. But if it is wet, if the evidence, if the blood stain it is wet and we have packed them in the paper envelope, so what happens? It will leak. It will leak. It will lead to the growth of the microorganism. It will decay. Clearly, I hope that I have answered your question. Okay. Yes, it is not properly sealed. Very good. Here again, you can able to see it is not completely sealed. Easily, any particular person can easily able to tamper those evidences, and the tampered evidences, they cannot be used in the court of law. Similarly, here you can able to see the staplers were used. Stapler pins should not be used for the packaging. Okay, when we are packaging those evidences, we should never use staple pins. Okay, this is one of the best way to seal the evidence. Okay, this is one of the best way to seal those evidences. We can put this tape onto this flap, then we can put our initials. You can able to see here, date, the initials of the particular person who have handled this. Clear? Thank you so much, students. Now I am ready for questions in case anybody having any.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the presentation first. And sir, was this question answered, sir? How to collect sample of blood stains from wall when it's present in semi-dried condition? Sir, am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. So the question is from Prarthana Guru. So it says, sir, how to collect sample of blood stains from wall when it's present in semi-dried condition?
Generally, what happens when it is, suppose it is present in semi-dry condition, generally what happens if it is onto the wall, then automatically after 1 or 2 hours, it will dry. Okay. Suppose if it is not dried and we have to collect those evidences, then we can use sterile cotton or gauze pieces, and simply we can swab it, we can collect those blood stains, and then we can air dry it. Okay, we can air dry it, and then when it is completely air dried, so at that point of time we can collect.
Right.
Prarthana,
right.
I think I have answered the question.
Right, sir. And I hope, Prarthana, that you've got the answer of the question. And sir, this another question that has come from our registrant. Okay, so Prarthana says yes, sir, and she also thinks thanks to you. So this another question that came from our registrant and said, what all the advances that our student has done in the field of LPU and from LPU basically?
What advances the student have done?
Yeah, so like where, if a student comes in here, what are the growth opportunities for the student to join, and where they can have the employment facilities basically from LPU?
Okay, it's a very good question. Let me tell you that one of my MSc students during her dissertation, just now she completed her MSc. During her dissertation, she worked with a research problem wherein she explored how military personnel, they will be getting affected from the firearm in the form of fumes, how they were coming in contact with those firearms, bullets, and what, because generally these bullets, they were made from metal, lead. So ultimately, when this lead comes in contact with the human being or animal or environment, so what happens? It will cause some effect. So she has done that particular work, and that particular work is almost on the verge of publication. Okay. Apart from this, our students, they also used to, in day-to-day laboratory activities, they used to develop shoe prints. Okay, they used to develop shoe prints, fingerprints. They used to learn how disguise can be made in the document, like forgery, handwriting, and all. Okay, and generally in BSc as well as in MSc, when the student is in final semester or in the final year, the student will go for a dissertation followed by mandatory publication.
Okay. Okay.
Publication or the student can go for copyright, patent.
Right. Thank you, sir. And so this one question came in my mind. Are there any bifurcation under forensic science? Like the forensic science is like a brief stream. And are there any sub streams under this particular stream?
Yes, madam. Basically, this forensic science in broad sense, it is basically divided into physical, chemical, and biological sciences. Cyber forensics, which is again a developing field especially during COVID time. Okay,
Right.
The crime related to cyber, they've increased manyfold. So basically, it is divided into biological, physical, and chemical.
Yes, sir. And sir, our last question is from Hana Sharma, and
So
she's
are evidences by forensic expert presented to the lawyer for the case in court? Are all these evidences by forensic expert presented to the lawyer? See, Hana Sharma, let me tell you, generally what happens, the evidences will be presented before the judges, honorable judges, and they will be sending it to forensic science laboratory for the examination. After examination, we will be furnishing the report. And when the court seems that this report is okay, this does not require any demonstration, so they will simply accept those reports. But in some cases, for example, firing case, okay, in case of firing, how the bullet would have moved, what would be the distance between the victim and the assailtant. So for that particular person, sometimes the court will also ask the forensic expert to come and deliver his or her opinion live in the court. So generally, we all used to give our findings, and then if court seems that needs to be demonstrated in the court of law, then we'll be giving.
right.
And yes, all the evidences will be presented to the court of law. We cannot remove or we cannot hide any evidence.
Right. So thank you, sir. And with this, I would like to ask if any other attendee and participant has any question, you can post, you can just write your questions in. And sir, meanwhile, I would want to take your permission. Before I take your permission, sir, I would want to extend my thanks to you and Gurmeen ma'am for coming in here, sir, to giving your time, to crediting your time basically for all of us, for all the participants, and giving this insightful presentation. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a pleasure.
Right. And sir, can I take your permission to show them about site and the admission process also? Like how
Yes,
if
ma'am.
they want to take admission?
Himanshi ma'am, like we would like to have a live demonstration of the evidences by Dr. Saurabh Shukla.
Sure, ma'am, sure.
Just a second, ma'am.
Meanwhile, attendees, you can tell how. Okay, I think we're gonna be seeing the evidences basically, and I hope that you all are as excited as I am to learn the practical demonstration. I mean, how all these things are actually done. Sir, over to you, sir. Okay, so in just in a while we're gonna be actually watching and learning how all these evidences are being collected and what you all actually need to know in the forensic science basically. And sir, am I audible? Okay, yeah, sir. So you're not audible, sir, on the same.
Now?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. So here, ma'am, in our laboratory itself, we have mimicked the crime scene. Here, students, you can able to see that we have mimicked this crime scene. This is dried blood stain. Okay. Liquid, actually, we have taken liquid. This is not actually blood. So what happens? This is in the form of dried blood stain. So what happens? We'll take this cotton cloth. Okay, we'll dip it in normal saline water, and then what happens? We'll slowly and steadily we'll collect this. Okay. When it is completely wet, so simply we need to keep this cotton cloth piece, and what happens? You can easily able to see this blood stain. It will be there onto this sterile cotton. Okay, and then after taking this sterile cotton, when it is wet, so what happens? We have to simply leave it. It will air dry in the due course of time, and then after half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hour, we can put it inside the envelope itself. Clear? This is evidence number 1, we can say. Here again, you can able to see this is the evidence number 2, glass pieces. Here you can able to see their edges, they are very sharp. Okay, their edges, they are very sharp. So what happens? First, we need to put them inside the tissue paper. Okay, first we need to wrap them in the tissue paper, and then we can put it inside the envelope itself. This is how, with the help of this tissue paper, we're going to put these glass pieces one by one. Remember, there are chances that they might scratch at the time of collection or packaging. In the same manner we have collected, now we'll put it inside the envelope. Okay, now we'll put it inside the envelope. Okay, now it is thoroughly sealed. We're going to apply tape here, and then we'll write all the details of the case, and then we'll give it to the police officer. Clear? Understand? So the first method was swabbing method, second method is hand picking, and the third, one more evidence is here, soil. Okay, one more evidence is soil. Generally, we used to get the soil from shoes, from the car tires, vehicle tires. So what happens? With the help of tape, we'll simply going to lift it. Clear? Yes, any doubt?
Sir, Hannah says video is not clear. Hannah, could you please be a little more brief, as in snow, it is clear. Okay, now it is clear. Okay, now it is clear. Okay. So if you have any query, attendees, you can just post your questions in the Q&A box. If you have any query, you can post the questions in the Q&A box. Do you have any query, attendees? And if I think, sir, we're done with the questions. Students don't have the query. Basically, you've shown such a great demonstration. And okay, we are done with the questions, sir. Gurmeen ma'am, do you want to add anything to the webinar? Ma'am, you're on mute, ma'am. You're on mute, ma'am. Gurmeen ma'am, you're on mute, ma'am. We can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Saurabh Shukla, for such an insightful talk on the collection and preservation of evidences at the crime scene investigation. Definitely, I think your talk has been very inspiring for the budding minds who now know how the methods of collection and preservation of different types of evidences at the crime scene. We know that the crime rates are escalating everywhere in our country, and webinars like this will definitely open doors of choice for these students to take up forensic sciences and contribute towards the law and order in the country. And I would finish this by a famous quote by Dr. Edmund Lockhart that every contact leaves a trace. And there is a poster in our lab saying that in reality, those rare few cases with good forensic evidence are the ones that make it to the court. And yes, Sir's webinar has definitely proved this point.
Right, right, ma'am. And
Thank
thank you,
you so
ma'am.
much, ma'am.
Thank you,
Uh,
ma'am. Thank you, audience.
Yeah, sir, we have another question that came in from an anonymous attendee. And it says, sir, are dead bodies examined by doctors or forensic scientists?
Madam, actually, I cannot able to hear you. Can I
Oh,
use Gurvi, ma'am?
yeah, sure, sir, sure.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible, sir. You're audible, sir. Can I
Okay.
repeat the question? I should
So
repeat the question.
generally, when it comes to dead body,
Mhm.
when there are chances that some evidences might be there onto the dead body itself, then we'll be collecting it, we'll be sending it. But what happens when it's sent to the hospital or medical college? So at that point of time, it will be the duty of the doctor who is actually handling the dead body or doing the postmortem. It is the duty of that particular doctor to collect those evidences from the body and then send it. For example, a trap bullet inside the body, we cannot able to cut and collect those bullets. So that will be the duty of the doctor who actually does the postmortem.
Right. Okay. Sir, thank you so much. With this was our last question from the participant here. So with this, sir, I would again want to thank you for this practical demonstration also, and the way that you've explained is really appreciated, sir. So at last, now I would want to take your permission, sir, to show them a little about the site. Can I, sir? Sir, am I audible?
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Ma'am, please go ahead.
Okay, sure. Okay, so to all the questions about the admissions here, I will be just showing my site or my screen basically. That is lpu.in is one-shot resolution of all the admission related queries. So you simply put this site on the browser, any browser that you have, and this will be the interface that will be coming in front of you. Now this interface will basically give you all the highlights of the university that might have happened, that are presently happening, or that might happen in the near future. So you can you can just explore the site, and I promise that you won't regret that. Now moving on to the admissions specific part here. So once I click on the admissions, you can see there are a whole lot of segregated programs after 12th, after graduation, after 10th, post graduation, doctoral program, etc. And they're very beautifully adjusted here. So I'm going to take an example of, let's say you are a 12th passed out student and wants to take an admission in any of the regular program, right? Undergraduate program, basically. So I go to after 12th undergraduate and regular program. So once I go to the program, basically you can see all the disciplines that are there under that particular program. So you can see engineering, agriculture, planning, design, sociology, geography, etc., etc. And since we were talking a lot about forensic sciences, so why not take an example of the same? So once I clicked on forensic sciences here, once I click on any of the discipline, the program that is offered or that is available under that would be visible to you. You can see here, we can see BSc Forensic Science, and it is going to be for 3 years, that is 6 semesters. And once I click on the program, this will give you all the details of the program, like eligibility, that is from the program details, you can find your eligibility. Highlights basically will be telling you all the student achievements, placements, researches, patents, and the rankings of the university. Moving to the curriculum part, that would give you what you will be taught in your 3-4 years course, right? And what all topics you're going to be learning. Fee would give you all, of course, very basic, the fee structure, that is how much you have to pay for the particular fee. And we have our scholarships as well. You can find it out that we have 3 categories listed here. And you can check, we have scholarships on the basis of LPU Nest or the 12th marks, right? And we have other scholarships as well, apart from all these scholarships that were mentioned there, like basis on the need, and other special scholarships, like if you have been part of startup or entrepreneur or any sports or cultural co-curricular activity, or if you have been a topper of any school board, then you can avail the scholarship. We do have some financial aid, so LPU provide. So you can explore and you can just check in whichever category you feel in, you can apply for the same. Now is the simple question is how you can apply. You simply click on apply now option, And once you click on this apply now option, there are some bare minimum requirements. And once you submit, you will be given your dashboard. And after that, you can avail, you can give and you can fill in for the course or the test if you want to. Now, I hope that I've given you a little brief as to what is needed to be done in order to take admission in a particular course. And if there's anything that you would want me to tell you, you can write in the chat box or the Q&A box. Or if not, then you can simply schedule a call. It's there on the site. You can WhatsApp us or you can have a live video counseling session as well. So with this, I stop sharing my screen, and I hope that a little brief would be clear to you. And with this, I would want to take permission from our experts here to wrap this webinar up, and all the participants, of course. Ma'am, sir, can I wrap this webinar up?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, ma'am, for coming in, for joining in, and for giving in your inputs about the forensic science. And it was so great to actually learn all the practical demonstrations that you're given. And it was really so interesting topic, to be honestly. Honestly, we were so enjoying. It's very practically we had seen from our childhood also. And it was refreshing also at one point to learn all these things. Thank you, sir, for that. And yeah, and so thank you so much to all the participants also for coming in and for joining in, giving your inputs, giving your questions. They're really appreciated. So with this, I take your leave until next webinar. Stay safe, stay healthy, and meet you soon in the next webinar. Thank you so much. Sure.